Hello, I am here with Peter Hobler with the X Factor, and we're doing a weekly insight, 5 minutes of weekly insight. My name is Keith Weedman. I'm principal of Level 3 by Design. Peter, let's focus today on fear. What's fear got to do with your work?
Wow, well, fear has so much to do with all of us, right? But with the X Factor, our mission is to help parents create an environment of divorce where their children are thriving.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the realm of divorce, wow, fear is really the instigator, if you will, the igniter, to me, to all the issues, to the embattlement, to the anger, to the reactiveness. And where does that fear come from? So I'll share my story quickly, and then we can get into a little bit more depth.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember as things started to go south in my marriage so long ago,
Mm-hmm.
our daughter was about 3 years old. And as things got pretty nasty between her mom and me, I found myself getting angry constantly, just reacting. Everything our daughter's mom would say or do would trigger me, typically with anger, and she would get angry in return. But I realized that my fears were triggering my anger. And my greatest fear
Mm-hmm.
was that the ex was going to try and take our daughter away from me. And that was something I couldn't handle. I didn't want it. I couldn't handle it. I felt like I was at least a pretty good dad, if not a really good dad. And as I started realizing the only person I could control was me, I couldn't control her. And the thing about fear and anger, there's such a connection. Usually when we get angry, it's because the fear is being triggered.
Mm-hmm.
And the second we get angry, we've lost control of ourselves, we've lost control of the interaction, and we will probably never get what we want from the ex. It's, as I ask people, they'll think about it. When somebody's angry at you, yelling at you, do you ever want to do what they want you to do? Hell no, we don't want to do that.
Right.
So how do you start to move past that fear? Well, you get clear on what you really want.
Mm-hmm.
Fear comes from what we don't want, which then leads to the anger and everything else. And that anger has such an impact on our kids, whether they are present or not. It can affect them for the rest of their lives. So gaining clarity for what you really want, to me, is the absolute first step to be able to shift, to get away from that reactiveness, the triggering of your fears. And for me, I realized I wanted to be the best parent I possibly could, the best dad for my daughter. I wanted to have her experience an environment of calmness,
Mm-hmm.
of balance between her mom and me, even though we were going in our separate directions. And it's absolutely possible. And as I committed to remain calm no matter what, and I wasn't perfect, but I did a pretty good job of that, the whole environment, the dynamics underlying started to shift, which had an incredibly beneficial impact and outcome for our daughter. So whenever you find yourself if you're going through divorce, those of you out there watching, listening,
Mm-hmm.
understand that when you feel yourself starting to get angry, there's some underlying fear being triggered. Maybe it comes from childhood, something your parents did to you. Maybe it comes from a former relationship. But realize that what the other person is saying or doing is not about you. It's not personal. It's about them and their own fears. And when we can step into that level of understanding, it becomes much easier to focus on remaining calm. So get clear on what you want for your kids and be intentional about creating it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really shift that environment and stop that reactiveness. Stop allowing your fears to be triggered.
And Peter, is it fair to say all it takes is one person to shift and the relationship shifts? Any one parent, if they shift from being reactive to becoming proactive?
And that's, oh my gosh, that's such a pointed question, Keith. Most of the time, the answer is yes. There are exceptions. But when we realize the only person you can change or control is yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you step in, you take charge, you take control of yourself, you shift your direction, you get clear, and you stay committed. However, when we ourselves change, the other person, the X, is no longer receiving the reactions that they come to expect. And over time, yes, most of the time, they will have to change because they're not getting the expectations they've come to expect over time.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, absolutely.
Very good.
Great question.
Well,
So,
Peter, we're running out of time. Any closing words you'd like to say?
wow. I would just say, as a parent, whatever type of relationship you have
Mm-hmm.
with the X, your children's other parent, get clear on what you really want for your kids and be intentional
Mm-hmm.
so you can create it. And then
Very
fear and anger will be a thing of the past. Absolutely.
Very good.
Thank you, Keith.
Wise words. Thank you very much, Peter, for your wisdom. And we'll be back again next week for our next conversation.
Look forward to it, Keith.
Thanks so much. Take care, Peter.